Hello there, I'm Natasha Koo, the founder of Feminine Space, and welcome to day 4 of this beautiful video series, Redefining Womanhood. And today we're going to be talking all about how do we find balance in our lives as busy and high-achieving women. So let's get right to it. Balance, that's something that many of us are looking for because it always feels like there's not enough time, we're under stress, and we're just running from one thing to the next in this huge whirlwind of everything that we gotta do. So when this is kind of happening, how do we find balance in our life, and how do we get in touch with that true self and that harmony from within when our life really feels like it's getting out of control? So one of the things that I really kind of want to tie this topic with is that balance is at the core of it. It really has to do with your priorities and what you find to be important and what you wish to choose to have in your life. Because if we're not clear on that, then it is really easy to fall out of balance because we're just doing everything because, it's just easier to say yes, and who knows, what we get out of that. So we might as well just go for it. But when we're not in touch with that self, that's what happens. But when we do know what it is that we want, then it's so much easier to then look at our priorities and take things off as that's not something that I want to engage with or to spend my time on, and here's something that I really want to actually do. And sometimes balance can have a very emotional tinge to it because as women, guilt is a really big emotion that I see again and again, both, in the past in myself a lot and also in my clients. And sometimes we may feel guilty for saying no to someone, or we might feel guilty for not offering help when we see that our good friend or whoever could need us and we could be of help to someone else. Well, we are still giving, and sometimes it's just difficult to say no. And that just adds to kind of the problem, and that's when we end up doing everything for everyone else. So to begin to find balance, we need to know what we want. So my question to you today is to ask you, when was the last time you really sat down, took a look at your life, how you're spending your time, and actually assessed which activities do I actually want to do, and which of these things or even people do I not really want to see or engage with? And what you might find from this really honest process of reflection is that sometimes we bind ourselves to commitments that never felt right in the first place. So it requires that stillness and to really look at things as they are and not really running away from what is actually happening. Because once we see the whole situation, once we see what is going on, and we feel into each thing, then we can kind of evaluate, does something feel really heavy, like it's dragging me down, like I get tense just thinking about it, or does something feel light and flowing and makes me excited and I feel almost drawn or pulled towards it? So once you look at the tasks or the things that fill your day or your life, feel into these two this big spectrum of whether something is really heavy or if something is really light. And from there, you're already tapping into your intuition and your inner knowing to understand what really works for you and what doesn't. Now, there's another thing about finding balance, and it's that this life is always an ebb and flow, which means that if we feel like we have balance one day, it might look differently tomorrow, and that's completely okay. Because things will always shift and things will always change, but as long as we connect to ourselves and what it is that we truly want, we will find this balance within. And it's not so much an external thing, like, you know, suddenly my calendar is free, therefore I feel okay. It's also has to do with how you're emotionally feeling and where you're at with the situation. For example, when I first moved to Switzerland and I couldn't afford to go to yoga classes, so I volunteered my time to clean, to help out a bit. And I remember at one particular yoga studio, I would go to the class, feel really good, then I would have to clean for like an hour and a half or so. And I would feel really bothered. I would be kind of triggered, like, oh, when will this end? I wish I could do this faster. What, you know, I could be spending this time differently. What could I do next after I'm finished this? So while cleaning the yoga studio, I felt like I should be somewhere else. And I was kind of fighting the fact that I was there and that I was doing that activity. And that just made that task really awful to do every single week. But once I changed my mindset and I looked at the reality that, well, I can still be in a really beautiful state of mind, I can still really enjoy what I'm doing, making this floor more beautiful and cleaner and everything tidy, I can actually enjoy that, enjoy the process. I can let the movement of mopping the floor be very rhythmic and almost meditative. Once I realized I could have that experience, I no longer found it to be such a draining, tiring, annoying thing that was in the middle of my day. So to be honest, sometimes it could be, you know, certain people or activities or tasks that we just need to kind of reduce or get rid of from our lives because it sucks our energy or it just takes away from who we truly are and what we really want to do. But there are also tasks that perhaps we can't get rid of, but at the same time, there's something we can do about that. Even if we have to go to work or have to do the same things, we can take a look at what state of mind am I in when I do that. Am I pissed off? Am I angry? Am I resentful? Am I feeling, you know, obligated? What is it that I feel when I do that? And what if I went into that same situation or did that same task with a completely different kind of, with a peace of mind, with actually harmony in what is there and what it is that you have to do? How do you then walk away from that task feeling? Because for me, I realized that it didn't have to do with the very thing that I was doing. It had to do with my state of mind and how I saw what was going on. Because it wasn't in the action of cleaning, it was what I was making of it in my head. And those thoughts were creating my very experience and reality of that activity or task. So that's one thing that really adds to balance, because we can dumb this topic down to the bare bones and say that, oh, it just has to do with what you commit yourself to and what you like and what you don't. But there's another part to it which I find very significant, which is our state of mind and how we approach certain things in our life, and whether, maybe not even consciously, right? It's not like we do this to ourselves, it just happens. How we are actually living or experiencing something. And that has to do with the thoughts that are coming up, believing in them, believing that this is hard, believing that I shouldn't be doing this, and then it just makes it a lot more difficult, a lot less enjoyable, and not fun at all. And that's probably one of the motivations then we have to try to get rid of it. So that's another aspect of balance. And the ebb and flow is a very beautiful thing. So don't beat yourself up if you feel like you can't kind of find that balance, if you feel like you're carrying too much. You know, even if you find some kind of activity within your day that connects you to the true self and you're more able to see things for how it really is, that will give you so much more space to then kind of maneuver and change how things are. I know that for myself and for many of my clients, if they are fully committed to everything, then they barely have that even mental space or energy or time to reevaluate and look at things and to kind of pick and choose and let the unnecessary drop away. So even if you're in this kind of huge whirlwind, see if you can even take 5 or 10 minutes a day to bring yourself back, to ground yourself, to come within, and then from that clarity, see things as they are. Because I know that to try to find balance when you're in the middle of a tornado, now that's hard and that's not ideal. So always come back to that true self, always come to who you really are, give yourself that moment to breathe, of space, just to be, and then the clarity will come up when we're not running around or being distracted or doing all the things. So that's really important too, if balance is what you wish to have in your life. So just to summarize, there's this emotional component to it that, you know, we can make something a lot harder, we can make something to be a total emotional and energetic drain in our life if we are fighting it in our head. So that's something to take a look at. And another thing is that when we're in the middle of the whole chaos, that's really hard to make changes. So step back, give yourself a bit of time, just be who you are, be still, be there for your true self, and let's listen, even just squeeze that little bit of time in and space in, and that's where clarity will come, and that's where your day will be filled with more and more space and things that you want. And another thing is, of course, being able to say no to certain things if you feel that's right for you. So are you scheduling your day, your life, by your guilt, by your feeling of guilt, or are you really scheduling your day and adding to your life from a place of love, like this adds to my love of certain things, or this adds to my love of myself and life. So depending on the approach you have and your intentions, that will attract all sorts of things. Like guilt would probably make you attract more and more and more things that you feel guilty about, and then you just end up doing it all for everyone else. While if you follow your heart and you follow the guidance towards more love and spaciousness and the passion, that living energy within you, then it's more likely that more beautiful opportunities will come up and you'll actually create even more space for that to enter your life, and it won't feel as hard. So this topic is really beautiful because I know that as women we try to do everything. I kind of like the expectation video that we did at the very beginning of this series. Balance is also really important, but something that we also lack these days as women because we feel like we gotta do it all, and we are. So let's take a short moment, you know, to reevaluate and to look at, well, is this how I want to live? And can I reduce things by feeling whether something's really heavy or much lighter? So I hope that this video has helped you. Usually I don't go into, I guess, such concrete terms to kind of give you tips, but for me, those things have always worked, and more than anything, it's just always a matter of listening within you and redefining womanhood for yourself. Once you know the answers that are there, that when the moment you start listening to your wisdom, to the woman within you, then it's much easier to live a more balanced life because you are following your inner guidance. So that's it for balance. I'm off, gonna edit this video later on, and then probably take the day off and enjoy myself on this beautiful sunny day because I need that balance too. So thanks for watching, and make sure you like this video if you resonated with the message or any of the tips that I shared, and make sure to subscribe below if you want to keep up with the upcoming videos that are within this series and more. So see you again tomorrow, and yeah, keep staying who you are and know that the answers are within you. So there's nothing to stress out about, and know that within every moment there's a new deep breath you can take, and that the balance is there. It's within your own hands. It's for us to control. No one else to dictate but ourselves. So let's go on with it and see you next time.